Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dick Coscia behind the camera here, and I'm going to get some thoughts and ideas from Congressman Chris Murphy on energy. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, listen, it's a huge issue here in Connecticut, especially here in Waterbury, because you've got a lot of manufacturers still here that are bleeding money paying for some of the most expensive energy costs in the nation. And so, there's a bunch of things that we need to do in order to get control of energy costs. First of all, we've got to develop newer, cheaper technologies. And so that does mean investing in some of these new renewable technologies that in the long run can be cheaper than what we have today. Second, we've got to invest in energy efficiency. The fact is we got a lot of old plants and old homes here in the Waterbury area that can get a lot more energy efficient, and it makes sense for us to put a little bit of money into retrofitting these homes and these businesses. You can save a lot of money down the line. And then something, Nick, that I know you're really interested in is the issue of locally generated energy, and that's really the future. If you can, have the ability to generate power in small areas, either for commercial and industrial distribution or for residential distribution, we can get rid of some of these enormous big power plants that sometimes pollute our cities. We have a company in Bethel that makes technology that will allow homeowners to take solar power off their roof, store it in their home until they can get the best price on the grid, and then sell it back to the grid. That really, that kind of locally distributed generation plan could be the future for Connecticut.
See, my concern here is, Chris, with the new thing that we tied in from Canada all the way to Connecticut now, NSTAR. That's fine and dandy as long as everything is running good. But all along the way, if there's some major power outages in Canada to knock out these major transformers, the entire grid is in trouble. That's why we need these mini microgrids in these states all along, not only in Waterbury, but Waterbury could be a postage stamp of these microgrids that we want to put in here and move along. But we need your support.
Well, and there's a lot of different ways to create local power. I passed a bill in Congress a couple months ago that would allow for 3 towns in the Farmington Valley to get a hydroelectric dam back up and running that would be able to power a bunch of neighborhoods surrounding the dam. The more locally produced power that we can have that's safe and clean, the more secure we become when you have these outages caused outside of the state.
Well, my goal is, why can't we be like Wallingford? Why can't we be like Middletown? They got their own generating. Middletown generates 640 megawatts of electricity.
Well, and it's no secret that when the power outages happened last fall, Wallingford came back online quicker than other parts of the state. And so I think it is a lesson that the more local you have both your power generation and the power distribution, the more accountable sometimes you are when these outages happen.
And also, my last concern here is storing the equipment for power outages. We store most of our equipment now in Berlin, the transformers and everything else. They used to be stored in 4 corners of the state. Now, because of taxation in these towns, you can't store these things. How about these enterprise zones that we can put these transformers in for a 5-year abatement? So if we do have emergency power, we can put them into these areas.
Well, I think we got a lot of lessons to learn from this last disastrous outage, and so that may be something to look into moving forward. We got to make sure that never again, when we have a massive power outage in this state, are we promising people that their lights are going to come back on in 4 or 5 days, and then have it take sometimes twice that amount of time.
Yeah, because the issue's there. You got people. I know we understand that the economy is bad and everything else, and we're trying to keep our crews down and limited so we can keep our expenses down. But it takes 4 days to bring in somebody's power crews, and then to go get the equipment, it takes another day, and then you got a day for the outage. There's 6 days of outages before the crews can even do anything.
Well, Senator Blumenthal and I, right in the wake of the storm, called on the federal government to really look into this issue of mutual aid agreements. We thought we had agreements with other states to bring in their utility crews, and it turned out that they were not enforceable. And so it's all been done through essentially voluntary agreements amongst the utilities. I continue to think that we maybe need some federal law that requires those utility companies outside of the state where there's a crisis to live up to their agreement.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
Thanks.